How to stop playing games, especially if you keep telling yourself, I don't want to play games anymore. I was coaching a client yesterday in my group coaching, and she was telling me that I don't want to play games. And as soon as I started this new assignment, I feel some of the people are so wanting and good at playing games, and I'm just too, I think she used the word too old to be doing this, right? And whether you are old to be doing it or not, I really want you to help you walk through as to how you will know that this is a game or what kind of game it is. And you probably will sense it very fast, but just to start structuring in your head as to, okay, this is a type of game, it's being played by other people. So then you can recognize how you might be invited to play it, or how you might be put in a situation where you feel like you don't have any other choice but to play it, and then how to stop playing it, right? And the reason why I really want to go into this in detail is because I think a lot of the times when I coach my clients, I have this sense that they believe that they cannot not play the game, meaning that they have no other choice but to play the game. And that's unfortunately what's getting us into trouble in the first place, right? So if we believe that we have no other choice, this is the only way, and if I don't play, then I will have severe consequences on my career, on my contract, or on me as a person, then obviously we will always be acting from that fear and believing that we don't have any other choice but to play the game. But we need to also equally understand playing the game will have consequences, and probably equally negative consequences, right? So, consequences like feeling drained, not really liking the way you behave, not staying true to your values. All of these consequences will be also happening if you decide to play the game. So my goal is to help you really see that you have the choice in the matter as to whether to play the game or not. And if you're playing the game, what would be the reason for you to be playing the game? If you don't believe this is possible, I would like for you to look around in your work setting or maybe in your experience in general and see if there are other people who are able not to play the game and stick to working on the impact and sticking to their value system as professionals. I don't know about you, but I have met several amazing humanitarians, especially at senior level positions, where I didn't see at least any of the examples where they were playing games. And of course, we will talk about what games look like and how do you even know. But I just want you to also find your own examples of maybe there are people who are not playing the games, and ask yourself how they're able to do that and why are you not able to do that yourself. Right? So I would like for everyone who's listening and reflecting on this topic to think about, why aren't you able to not to play the game? Or another way, where is your agency in the matter as you decide whether to play the game or not? And how could you learn more about why your fear, your survival brain, keeps forcing you to believe that this is the only way? So I would like for you to make that reflection and start seeing your own answers to these questions. So let's dive in into the games as to what kind of games people play at work. And this might be true for any sector, by the way. So it's not specific to humanitarian sector. And I coached clients in the entrepreneurial, in the private sector as well. And I see that that keeps happening as well. But I want to focus on the humanitarian sector because that's what my audience, you all know it too well. So, some of the categorizations of games that I have seen and I have also heard from examples would be like a scapegoating game, right? Where we find someone to be responsible and guilty of something that went wrong, instead of looking at how the system that is so sophisticated or supposedly sophisticated allowed this scapegoat allowed this mistake to happen, but also allowed the scapegoating itself to happen, right? So it's a bit of a metacognition here going on. So that's why the common way I would say that the games are played is around scapegoating or blaming. So it's either you are asked to blame someone, or maybe you are on the receiving end of the blame, or there are country office versus field office blames going on or scapegoating going on. So all of this is games around blaming and scapegoating, I would call as a category, right? Then another category, if you will, is the game of popularity. So this might be for every professional relevant that you may see examples of, but I would say oftentimes it might be at the level of either mid-level or senior level leadership, where managers and leaders want to get their popularity going, just like in the politics, right? And they may do things that make other people feel uncomfortable or feel uh, playing the game of getting that person popular, right? Another category is, which is I think the most common, is the power protecting games. Another way to call it a territorial games. I like to call it territorial bosses, but I think the more maybe appropriate way to call it would be power protecting games. And in this power protecting games, obviously you are asked to take sides. You may not be given enough information or gatekeeping information, or you might be manipulated into doing things that you didn't or didn't even think of doing, but someone else had an agenda for their power, and the power struggle, the power dynamics between one boss and the other. All of this could be labeled as power protecting games, right? And the way that you know that you are being dragged into playing, or maybe dragged is the strong word, you are asked to be part of it, is if you feel something is not right, if you feel you are just spending a lot of time thinking about who will receive how, in other words, positioning yourself or justifying your position, or being on the eggshell as to how you need to be careful about this person and with this person and whether this person's talking to another person or not. When you find yourself in these situations, you are willingly or not, no, not willingly, not knowingly or not knowingly uh, participating in the game, right? Of course there are like stages of playing game, meaning there might be the part where you are participating without even knowing, and then there might be parts you are participating knowingly, and maybe there are parts where you are actively contributing to the game, or maybe there are parts where you are orchestrating the game as well, right? I personally have never been that intelligent, I feel, to orchestrate the games. because I think my strategic thinking at the time was not that clever. But I have seen colleagues who have been able to orchestrate those games very well. And I might have been part of the games where I did the part of the game that I was knowingly playing. And there were also times where I played probably without even realizing, right? So you may find yourself in a lot of different places of these games. Now, once you know what the game is and how you know that you might be part of it, as a consequence of those playing games in one way or another, you may feel exhausted the whole time, or you may feel you don't want to work there anymore. Or in my client's case, she feels like she needs to get out of the situation soon so that there are no severe consequences. Or I have other clients who feel they don't even want to go to another duty station because of the games being played so harsh, especially now with the funding cuts, right? So, whatever your situation is, I have seen humanitarians transition a lot because of this reason and because of this feeling of I don't want to be playing the games, but I feel like I don't have a choice and I don't like being in that situation, so let me just get out, right? So the usual way to stop playing games, many humanitarians use the strategy of not doing anything, but just getting out of that situation. And while that might be a solution for some of you, for many of you, I'm assuming this is not a solution, right? Because you've just found a job, let's say, after struggling for so long, and then feeling like now I want to just keep the job. At the same time, you may want to know how to stop playing those games if it's against your own value system. So, the solution that I want to propose to you that I keep talking about in a lot of different ways, but the way that I want to even go specific today is talk about to how you can stop playing the game by continuing your own standard of behavior based on your own value system. And I will give you examples of how playing where you are not really following your own value system versus when you are following your own value system by following your own standard of behavior, whatever that standard looks like. So let me give you a distinction so you can see in visual examples. So let's say that you have been asked to take sides in whatever scapegoating game or in power protecting game, whatever it is, right? And you feel that's not how you want to be spending your time and energy working in the working hours. You want to focus on the impact itself. So when you're asked to take sides or when you're asked to get on board and scapegoat someone, the way you will be playing the game is by not saying anything about that situation or by just agreeing with everyone else is saying, or you maybe even judging all of them as to how they shouldn't be doing this, why they do it, right? That's also participation in the passive way, but still you are on the receiving end of the emotional turmoil that comes from you keep judging their behavior, right? So if we're judging their behavior, especially saying that this is not how they should be behaving and that's not how it's not right and all of this, what that is really doing is they're creating a lot of emotions within you, and therefore you are still participating even though passively in that game, and you are having exhaustion from it. Now, the same situation, if you were to follow your own value system and you followed your own standard of behavior, the way it could look like is this, is that are your value is serving the persons that of concern or however the way you want to call them, persons of concern, people you work with, beneficiaries, who, however the way you call them. So your value is serving those people and having the impact on them, and therefore keep blaming and scapegoating someone is not going to help the situation. So therefore you speak up and say what you would like to say, whether you are not taking part in this or whether you would like to solve the problem that is being caused by the system and not by this person who we are scapegoating. So you could start looking at how are the ways that you could actually behave in this situation where you are asked to take sides. How can you, based on your own value system, how can you behave in a way that makes you feel I want to speak up, or makes you feel I don't want to be part of this and I want to instead solve this, or get everyone talking about the system's problems and how we can solve the system versus fixating on how this person did this and therefore we're all suffering here, right? So following your own standard of behavior would look like then, okay, I am really in service for the people that we're serving and for the impact that we want to. So I want us to understand how the system allowed us to do this. Or even if we want to get someone accountable to why this shouldn't have happened, then can we get that person accountable without blaming and scapegoating and making it all drama and how everything bad and all of this, instead going into, okay, what are we going to do about it, right? Another example of how you could keep following your own standard of behavior versus participating in the game is participating in the game would be if you keep complaining with everyone else as to how this, let's say, office is a bad office. Let's say we are looking at power protecting game, right? So in the power protecting game, let's say that there are two leaders in the country office and the field office, and they are, let's say, fighting with each other. And then somehow they expect everyone else to be fighting with each other as well because they are fighting with each other, right? And in this case, it becomes so easy for rest of us. And I have been in this situation many times, and I have also been in situations where I feel not even realizing that I was taking side, right? And it's just so crazy. So anyway, so let's take this example and say, okay, you are being asked to be part of that power protecting game, and you are saying, okay, I don't want to be part of that, and I don't want to play that game. I don't want to be looking at how they're fighting with each other and commenting on them and how they are doing this great or they're not doing this great, whatever it is. Instead of getting involved that way, you could look at your own value or maybe even philosophy, whatever the way that you understand better, and say, okay, I want to stay in integrity with myself, right? Or my value is respecting myself and the colleagues whose work I appreciate or whose personality I appreciate, whatever that is. And then say, okay, if I follow my own standard of behavior based on this integrity and respect, then what I will do is I will say whatever I am saying to the person in the meeting, I'm also saying it outside. So I'm staying in integrity. And also, I am not participating in butchering someone's reputation or agreeing with how this country office's leader is right or how that is right. And therefore, now getting into reinforcing their behaviors, instead saying I my value of my value system as a professional is respecting and working well with leaders in different offices, and here are the ways that I will continue behaving, being transparent and respecting their professional opinions, and continuing collaborating with them no matter what the other situation is going, right? So if we go into this way of following what is our way of doing it, meaning if we encounter another game or if we are asked to play another game, if we take it as a signal to say, oh, this is where my value system is being questioned, or this is where I am being asked to stand by my values and to stand by who I am as a professional, and here is how I'm going to stand by it, no matter what happens and no matter how other people behave, then you start looking at any game from the perspective of, do I even want to be part of it or not? And if I were to be part of it, what is the reason I'm doing it? And if I'm not being part of it, how do I reinforce my professional behavior, my standard of how I act and how I respond to such situations, versus just keep following my survival brain that keeps saying that, oh, if you don't say something, or if you don't agree with this person, if you don't take sides, if you don't play the game, then you will not progress in your career, or you will not even keep your job, or whatever scarcity way that your survival brain will come up with. You no longer need to listen to that anymore, right? And it will be challenging in the beginning. And I personally have experienced many times. And I can see as I coach my clients, they have difficulty standing by their own value system in the moment and have the behavior that says, no, I'm not being part of this. Or even I don't want to be bad mouthing this colleague behind doors so that you can feel good about how you are right. Those are very challenging things to say or even to behave as, but keep being part of the game is also very challenging, and you've probably seen a lot of consequences of that as well in your own life, right? And if we are looking at, okay, if this is a good opportunity for me to either keep making them right and keep giving them all the more ammunition and more ways to feel good about themselves, and then hoping that they will protect me or hoping that my job is safe and all of this, which may feel good in the moment because it's a temporary relief, but at the same time it feels inside like, oh, I shouldn't have done this, right? And I know that feeling, and I'm assuming you know that feeling as well. And therefore you start realizing, okay, I don't want to be playing this game. I can see how I become if I play this game, and I don't want to be that person or that professional. And therefore, let me respond and decide this way based on my own value system that guides me through this process. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes, I hear you. I'm just reading some of the messages. Okay, my dears, this is how you stop playing the game. And if you need help with this, come coach with me. I would love to support you throughout this process so that you start learning how to prioritize and reinforce your own professional standard of behavior and based on your value system versus keep reinforcing the systemic games that keep everyone busy somehow, but at the same time draining everyone and not really getting to the impact and outcome that we want to have. In the meantime, have a beautiful week. I'll talk to you soon.